they stay on this side of that yellow line. What's up? Appreciate you. Right here. So wait. Okay.
You mind plugging me in too?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Fire level?
Okay.
Let me give you 1 2 1 2.
Does anyone need water while we're waiting?
Audio test mic test 1 2 3 4. Audio test mic test 1 2 3 4. Audio levels. Waiting for a thumbs up from Jax. Test 1 2 3 4. Got you. Appreciate you.
Hey Burke, let me know if you can hear me.
Audio test mic test 1 2 3 4.
I'm just checking to see if you can still hear me on the wireless because you're kind of far from me. One. I'm checking through with Burke to see if make sure you can still hear me. Test 1 2 1 2. Okay, great. Thanks. Do you want this other battery by you, or are you good?
Can you lift it up a little bit?
Yep, yep.
No wireless here?
See him?
Do we have a wireless here or no?
No.
Okay. And then water?
Yeah, that's gonna be off to the side waiting for it. They didn't want
Does he want one?
yeah, they didn't want to water.
Okay.
Good afternoon, County. We'd like to welcome all of you here today. President Biden and First Lady, Governor Reeves and his wife, all of our elected officials on the state level from here in the state of Mississippi, the Honorable Congressman Thompson, Senator Thomas, and others who have come. Today is a very important day here in Rolling Fork, Mississippi. It's a day that we are all thankful for. However, it's unfortunate that we are here for this purpose. But this purpose, by itself, is going to make Mississippi, Rolling Fork, a bigger and better community. I'm committed to working in partnership with state and federal leaders to ensure that the needs of this community are met. We have had so many people donating their time and resources to help our city, and we thank each of you for everything that you have done and everything that you are doing. But right now, the community is not only in disbelief, but grief as well. Therefore, we take this time to extend our condolences to all families who have been affected by this disaster. We know that this will be a long process, but the most important action we can take is not give up. Rolling Fork is not only a community, it's a family. And I'm a believer that a family that prays together stays together. So as we unite and walk hand in hand down the road to redevelop and rebuild this community, we must come together and stay a family. What has been lost cannot be recovered. But we are confident that the people of Rolling Fork, that we are resilient and we will make this community bigger and better. So now, I'd like to introduce a man who has been on the ground with us ever since last Friday. I'm honored to introduce the Honorable Congressman Benny G. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr. President, First Lady. Let me say to all of you who are assembled here that this is a statement of commitment on the part of our federal, state, and local partners that in fact help is not just on the way, but help is here. The notion that 7 days ago, all the buildings you see around us, they were alive, vibrant, communities of Rolling Fork was made whole. And so in that 7 short days, we come to this, and we now have to fix it and get it right. I made a call to the president and said we need help. We got a record declaration in terms of a disaster based on just what we see here today. And so it's important that as a community we continue. People have left. People have left. We still have a long way to go. And we're going to rely on not just the federal and state and local partners, but our nonprofit partners who have joined us also. That's absolutely important. The church communities. I'd like to single out the Sharkey County Board of Supervisors. They've stepped up in a mighty way and really have done what's required. The Mayor and Board of Aldermen of Rolling Fork have also. But on Friday night, there was help coming from all over the Delta. Greenville, Mississippi, Yazoo City, Vicksburg, all those communities came to help, and that's what mutual aid is all about. So we personally thank you for that. So Proverbs talks about without a vision, people perish. Well, the vision for this community is you just won't come back, but you'll come back better. And so that's the commitment that you'll hear from later in the presentations. So without further ado, let me introduce the governor of the state of Mississippi, Tate Reeves.
Thank you, Congressman, and thanks to all of you for being here. For those of you from around the country that are watching now, please understand that this storm and what you're seeing behind me, this storm entered our state on our western border, right over the Mississippi River, which is not very far from here, but didn't actually exit our state until the northeastern border over the Tennessee-Tombigbee. And so what you're seeing behind me today is illustrative of what you would see if we were standing in Silver City, or if we were standing in Amory, or if we were in Carroll County, or Montgomery County, or Panola County. This storm was devastating to these communities. And as I said on Saturday morning when I was here, and I'll say it again, you can't help but have two emotions when you see this damage and when you are in this community. The first emotion is one of heartbreak. Heartbreak for the people who lost lives. Heartbreak for the people who lost moms and dads, grandmoms and granddads, and brothers and sisters. But you can't just have the emotion of heartbreak, you must also have the emotion of inspiration. Because what this storm has caused in this community in Rolling Fork in Sharkey County and in so many other communities from here to Amory is inspirational. Because people from across Mississippi and people from across America, Mr. President, have shown up and they've shown out. They've shown up to help people in need. They didn't ask where you were from or what you did for a living. They didn't ask you any questions. They just showed up to help. And as I said Saturday, and I'll say it again, it's made me damn proud to be a Mississippian. When I left Rolling Fork on Saturday morning, I'd already heard from the FEMA administrator and I'd heard from Secretary Mayorkas. As I was pulling out of Rolling Fork Saturday morning to hit the other spots, I got a call from the White House. That call was from the President. The President told me two things, and I believe both of them. The first thing he said is, we're going to expedite the signing of the declaration so we can get resources to the people who need it. I said, Mr. President, you'll have it within an hour. He had the declaration within an hour, and before the end of the day, it was back. He expedited it, and the people of Mississippi, Mr. President, appreciate it. The second thing he said that day on that phone call was, we're going to be there to help, and we're going to stay to the end. And I believe him, and I appreciate him. I appreciate the call on Saturday, and I appreciate the fact that the President of the United States is standing here in Sharkey County, Mississippi, to deliver more remarks today, to hear from the people most affected, and most importantly, as he and Dr. Biden have done throughout the day, show compassion for those who have been most affected. So without further ado, please give a warm Mississippi welcome to the President of the United States. Thank you, Mr. President, for being here. Thank you.
Governor, thank you very much. You know, when I heard about the devastation here in Rolling Fork, the first thing that came to mind was I got to get a hold of Benny Thompson. It's his district. He treats it like his home. He's been a steadfast leader in every crisis I've worked with him on, and he's always there for his constituents. And he's been a great partner of mine. And the governor's right. The governor, I tried him earlier, but he was already out on the road. I couldn't get him right away. And to let him know, that made it clear that we'll do everything that's legally within my power to do to be of assistance to the people in this community. And Mayor Walker, I know this has been especially hard for you, since you're not only the mayor, but you're also, and I mean this sincerely, the funeral director. It's been tough. You've had to prepare people to be buried who you were with, know well. And thanks to Sharkey County officials and local officials and first responders and community members who've worked around the clock, rescue survivors, they get people to safety and sort through the wreckage. But Jill and I are here to show our support. Unfortunately, I've been to too many sites like this over the last 2 years around the country. I've probably, with the FEMA director, better part of 12 to 15. And I always see the same thing in America. When the neighborhood's in trouble, the whole neighborhood comes to help. Walking down the street here, being told by people the reason we were able to get through it, one family told me when finally the roof came off the house, we were under the bed, we came back down, all of a sudden it was quiet. Before I knew it, the Red Cross was out front. Before I knew it, and went on to talk about the neighbors that helped. And folks, I know there's a lot of pain, and that it's hard to believe at a moment like this community is going to be rebuilt and built back better than it was before. Resilience of this community has been remarkable. And I just want you to know, as you fight through this, you're not alone. The American people will be with you. They'll help you through it, and so will I. Multiple tornadoes tore through Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee last Friday night. The most powerful came through Rolling Fork. It stayed here just a little over 3 minutes. Just imagine, look at, I mean, I know those who've been through it know. 3 minutes. 3 minutes, this neighborhood is basically gone. Stores, everything, gone. And the most powerful part of the tornado came through Rolling Fork. It stayed here and had the effect, it was so devastating, unless you physically saw it, it's hard to believe. 13 lives lost. I met a number of the families earlier today, Jill and I, my wife and I. 300 homes and businesses are nothing more than piles of twisted materials mixed up with personal items that mattered so much. Teddy bears, family albums, clothes, dishes, basics of life, all gone. People still going through the rubble, seeing if they can find that picture of grandma, or that wedding ring that was on the bureau, or that special memento that meant so much to them. They get lost too. Some of this dysfunction and destruction that you're seeing here, it's going to take years to recover and rebuild. But we're starting now. When I spoke to the governor, he said what he needed most was a federal disaster declaration, so that the earliest hours of Sunday morning, I signed that expedited major disaster declaration, which gave you more access to more federal resources. With that declaration, we're providing funding to cover overtime for local emergency responders, to cover the cost of removing all debris, 100% of that cost. We're also authorizing cash grants for people who lost their homes, whether they own or rent, to pay for things that may not be covered by insurance, like temporary housing, home repairs for those who have homes still standing, or to replace lost personal property, like furniture and appliances and vehicles. You know, after talking to Benny and your governor, today I authorized the federal government to cover 100% of the cost for removing debris and emergency measures that are involved in keeping up here, by keeping shelters up and running and paying for every overtime for everyone. 100% of the cost, not for the state, but for us, for 30 days. And then after that, we're not leaving either. In the midst of all you're dealing with, I know that it's overwhelming. You got to figure out how we can help, what you need. That's why right now we have 300 federal personnel on the ground, including FEMA disaster survivor assistance teams, to ensure a well-coordinated response to get you the assistance you need. We're walking through damaged neighborhoods to find people in need and help them. They're walking through now. Going on, if there's any doors to knock on, or people stand there just to find out where everyone in that house was or is. We're trying to make it easy as possible. So on Monday, the FEMA Disaster Recovery Center will be opening in four counties, including this one. So we'll be able to walk in to a situation, explain your circumstance, let people know what you need, and learn more about how you can get the help as quickly as possible. Can't hear me? Oh, you're talking to somebody else. I'm sorry. Look, you know, you can also apply for assistance for FEMA online. The online is disasterassistance.gov, or call 1-800-621-3362. 1-800-621-3362. Already, 1,700 people, 1,700 people have signed up for help. In addition, the Department of Agriculture has made sure families qualifying for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, so-called SNAP program, can use these benefits for meals in grocery stores, gas stations, convenience stores, the dollar store, and other vehicles. You can use that SNAP money, those SNAP material, to get meals you need. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marcia Fudge is here, and FEMA Administrator Deanne Griswold is here, because we're bringing every element of the federal government together to help with immediate needs and long-term rebuilding. For example, the Department of Agriculture is identifying temporary housing, reimbursing farmers and livestock owners for lost crops and lost livestock. The Small Business Administration is here, helping businesses get low-interest loans to recover and to rebuild. And if you don't have insurance or you're underinsured, FEMA can help you get started by funding your home repairs, replacing some lost and damaged property like cars and refrigerators. I know how important it is for the post offices, to many of you, in every community. It's where most people get their prescriptions these days. Well, we're working to make sure you can still have access to them. What we're doing is the National Postal Service is going to set up temporary post office, which you've already seen, on the grounds of the present post office is not usable. I also want to note that some of these communities are again facing the threat of severe weather in just 1 week later, if you've looked at the weather forecast. FEMA and other federal personnel are here on the ground, ready to respond and to support state and local officials if, in fact, they do mount to major storms. I want to urge everyone here to listen to the local officials and be prepared to take shelter. It will go. I've got to go through this together again if it happens. And let me close with this message: the people of Rolling Fork, and Amory, and Silver City, and Carrollton, and Winona, and that other communities that have been hit. We're not just here for today. I'm determined that we're going to leave nothing behind. We're going to get it done for you. That's why I'm here, why your Congress is here, why the governor's here. We're focused on making sure you got the place to sleep, food to eat, helping you rebuild your lives in Rolling Stone. But long term, I know this is your community. This is where you built your lives. And we're going to make sure you can stay right here. There's nothing we can do to heal the hole in your hearts left by the 13 people who passed, many of whom I met their families. Melissa Price, Lonnie Price, Mary Bush, Doris Harris, David Moore, Phyllis Maxey, Darryl Purvis, Linda Herman, Erica Moore, Brenda Odoms, April Johnson, Lavette Herman, and Wendy Kelly. As I've told some of the survivors, we all have had experiences, not the same, but getting that sudden experience you lost someone is devastating. It's absolutely devastating, and we kind of understand it. But I've heard incredible stories about the spirit of these families and the resilience and your bravery. The town of Rolling Stone will be back, and we'll be with you every step of the way. And what did I say? I said Rolling Fork, Rolling Stone. I got my mind going here. We'll be back, and we'll be with you every step of the way. So God bless you all, and God bless our first responders. Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta get it out.
Stand or go?
Coming back with us?
Yes.
Coming back, Eddie?
I'm done. I'm gonna say it here.
Have a nice weekend.
Okay. Thank you all so much for coming. It means a lot to me.
Thank you, sir.
But this is just like a little bit of